Hello, I'm Ilarion, and this is JavaScript TypeScript web automation course. Today we're gonna talk about Playwright architecture. So how Playwright communicates with the browser, how TypeScript is transpiled into JavaScript, how Node.js runs all this, what is Chrome DevTools protocol, and just bonuses are we're gonna review what is gitignore and playwright.config.ts file. Alright, so quick follow-up on the previous video. In the previous video we were already recording some tests, like if you remember, one test for creating an order and one for my blog, just simple test, just clicking through the buttons, navigating to different pages. And what we forgot to do was actually naming those tests and committing them and pushing them to the GitHub. So let's quickly do this now. Okay, so first test was this one where we actually created an order. So let's name this test create an order. Okay, this should be enough. Now let's rename this file. Where is the rename one? Okay, just hit enter. Create order. Boom, that should work for now. And now this one was about blog navigation. These are not perfect tests, but yeah, that should be enough for now. Navigation. That should be enough for now. We're gonna get later to what the structure of the tests should be like, what we should check in the tests, how big or small they should be, etc. Yeah, but for now this works. All right, let's quickly commit this. Git status. Let's check what we have modified. Okay, we have two files modified. Git add tests. First I'm gonna add the blog one. Git add commit. Did I ever tell you that you can easily differentiate between junior developer and senior developer by looking at their commit messages? Okay, blog navigation TS. So juniors usually just write some commit message which looks something like add test or just test or something like this. And seniors usually specify like what exactly they are adding. And junior, what would junior do? He would add both tests and commit them in one commit. And what I just did, I added this blog navigation test first, and now I will add another one, which is create order spec. All right, and git commit create order spec. Okay, that's it. Now we have two commits unpushed, and let's push them. Git push. That's it, pushed. GitHub, Ilarion. Again, reminding you to hit follow, then go to repositories, advanced playwright, hit the star, just hit this star. And now we have our tests. So, and here we can see the clear commit messages. So this one was about refactoring. This one was about adding test. This again, added test. And we can actually navigate. Just do the right click or control or command and click on these links, and you will see the changes made in this commit. So small commits are better. Better names for commits is also better. So put some clear names on your commits. Commit messages, I mean, like here. All right, that was a pretty long follow-up for the previous lecture. Today we'll talk about Playwright architecture, how it communicates with the browser, how all this TypeScript, JavaScript stuff works, what is Node.js, how it runs all this together. All right, so first of all, let's talk about JavaScript. I'm sure you already heard about JavaScript. It's like everywhere, but it's widely used and was created for the web, for running web pages in the browser, for interacting with HTML and CSS in the browser. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you that JavaScript is not only for web development anymore. It's also for backend development, like writing in Node.js. It's also for mobile apps, writing in React Native. That's like actually what I have my pet project written in Node.js and React Native. And actually what I also use at work. Then you can also write desktop apps using JavaScript and Electron. All right, so you may have probably already heard about TypeScript. Like that TypeScript is like kind of JavaScript, but not quite. Yeah, so let me explain it. So first, imagine we have JavaScript. And then, let's read this. TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript that adds static typing and other features. So imagine we have JavaScript, and then TypeScript is like JavaScript, but it adds additional features to it. And that's it. That's all you need to know, that TypeScript is kind of same JavaScript, but it adds a few more features. Like there are a lot of features, but still not all, you won't use all of them. All right, and what happens? What happens is if you write code in TypeScript, oh, sorry about that. If you write code in TypeScript, your TypeScript code is not executed directly. So your TypeScript files are first transpiled into JavaScript. So you write TypeScript code, and then under the hood, it transpiles it to JavaScript. So in the end, all you write is JavaScript. And TypeScript just adds some features which are then transpiled into pure JavaScript. That's it. That's what I wrote here. Transpilation process of converting TypeScript code into JavaScript. That's all you need to know. And by the way, Playwright does this automatically. So you don't even have to care about this. So you can write either in TypeScript or in JavaScript, doesn't matter. TypeScript will handle this transpilation, this conversion of files into JavaScript. All right. And what is Node.js? I probably mentioned on one of the previous videos that Node.js is JavaScript runtime environment. And what this means? We usually know that JavaScript runs in the browser, right? You remember we went to the console in the previous videos in Chrome DevTools and we typed some JavaScript there. So that was JavaScript executing in the browser. But to run JavaScript outside of the browser, we have Node.js. To run JavaScript on the server, we have Node.js. So this is what Node.js stands for. Node.js is JavaScript runtime environment. It runs JavaScript outside of web browser. That's all you need to know for now. So, okay, let's get it all together. So first you write your tests in TypeScript, then your files are transpiled into JavaScript. Under the hood you don't see this, but this happens. And then JavaScript is run by Node.js. So it's like the browser, but on the server. I mean, this is like the runtime environment for JavaScript. It takes JavaScript code and executes it. reads the files like line by line and executes the commands of this code, just like the browser does. All right, now let's talk about Playwright architecture. So what do we have in Playwright? First, we have your test code, which is written in TypeScript or JavaScript, doesn't matter. Then we have Playwright running Node.js server. And this Node.js server actually takes your test code and executes it. So it reads like line by line. In your test you have go to this page, then find this element, then click on this element, then check that this element exists, click on this button, type something in this input. And all this happens here. So it reads your test files and then executes them. So Playwright starts Node.js server, which, and usually not one server. Yeah, but that's the implementation details. We don't want to dive into that. It's like no value for us. And then Playwright also starts browsers, depending on what we specified in the configuration, like Firefox, WebKit, which is engine for Safari, and Chromium, which is an engine for Chrome. All right, so Playwright starts Node.js server, which reads your code. Then Playwright starts browsers. It starts browsers, and then what happens? Then Playwright, this Node.js server managed by Playwright, it communicates, it establishes connection with the browser and sends messages and receives messages. So let's say in the code you have something like go to this page. Playwright reads this code. This Node.js server Node.js reads your test code, then it connects to the browser and sends a message to the browser like go to navigate to this page, and browser navigates to the page that you specified here in your code, and then browser replies something like content loaded, so page loaded. Okay, and then Playwright goes and reads another line of your code, which might be something like find this element. Then Node.js managed by Playwright sends a message to the browser, find this element for me. Then browser search for your element in DOM document, if you remember, HTML tree, DOM tree, whatever you call it. So browser searches for the element by the specified selector, and then browser sends a message to Playwright, to this Node.js server, that okay, I found the element. Then again, in your test code, it reads the next line. Next line might be something like click on this element. Then it understands, okay, click on this element, sends a message to the browser, click on specific element or specific, how you call it, specific location on the page, specific pixel, I don't know. And then what it does, it finds this location on the page and browser clicks on it, and then browser sends a message, I clicked on this element, something like mouse click or similar events. Okay, and this is how it happens. So it reads one by line your test code, then sends messages to the browser, and then browser sends messages back, letting Playwright know that okay, continue, read the next line. And this happens the same for all browsers. All right. Yeah, just a small remark that Chromium is not actually Chrome. It's like engine that runs Chrome, but they are a bit different. Same goes for WebKit. And also, yeah. And yeah, Firefox is like real Firefox, but WebKit is an engine for Safari. So it's not Safari, but like 99.9% it's Safari. Same for Chromium. Okay, so reading your test file, sending messages. I hope this one was clear. It was easy. Let's make it a bit more complex now. Okay, remember your code is written in TypeScript. So you write code in TypeScript files, then Playwright. Playwright is everything what I select here. Everything here. So Playwright transpiles your code into JavaScript. This happens under the hood. Then Node.js executes JavaScript files. And yeah, this communication between browser and Playwright happens. Okay, so I think this is clear. This is the same diagram, we just added the transpilation here. So the difference between these two, here we don't have transpilation, we didn't mention that, and here we have also transpilation. Transpiling from TypeScript to JavaScript. All right, let's make it a bit more complicated now. Oof. We already had this with the transpilation, and we already had this browser Chromium. And now I added this element in between, which kind of explains how the communication between Playwright and the browser happens. So first, let me explain one thing to you. So let's say we have some web page. We're on some web page here. And we open console. Okay, let's type some comment here. Window, location, reload. Okay. So we just refreshed the page using JavaScript. So this console, all that you see here, the network, the console, the elements, all this is kind of separate from the browser. Let me explain. Okay, we can make it like a separate window. You see, this is a separate window. So here we have the browser. This is the browser, and this is this console. So they are separate, you see, different windows. And I wanted to tell you that this console connects to the browser. Let me draw this one. Okay, this is for another lecture, don't be scared yet. So we have Chrome, we have DevTools. We have Chrome, and we have DevTools with console and all this stuff. And they communicate with each other using protocol which is called Chrome DevTools protocol. Boom. So they communicate with each other. So anytime something happens in the browser sends a messages. Browser sends a message to DevTools. Anytime we click on something in DevTools or execute some command in console, then it sends a message to the browser. So DevTools sends a message to the browser. Example can be, I don't know, execute Node.js, like execute some JavaScript. So we typed something in console and then it sends a message, execute JavaScript, and gives this JavaScript like window location reload. Boom. So this is the message that is sent. Okay, and the messages which come from the browser might look like some network request finished. So network request finished, that means that something will appear on the network tab in DevTools. Okay, so this is how this communication happens. Again, we have this page and we opened a separate window for DevTools, and these DevTools connect to the main browser, to this window, like to all this. They connect using Chrome DevTools protocol, which kind of sends messages between browser, DevTools. Whenever something happens in DevTools, it sends some message to the browser. Whenever something happens in the browser, it sends message to DevTools, and they communicate with each other. Okay, and also let me add here, I should have somewhere the Chromium. Yeah, because Chrome actually uses Chromium, so yeah, it's somewhere over here. Yeah, and to make this diagram look beautiful, I'll just copy paste this. Boom. Okay, so this is the DevTools. All right, great. So I hope this was clear how browser works. And now let's get back to our diagram with the Playwright. So in Playwright, we have pretty much the same. So on one side, we have browser Chromium. Okay, let me draw it. We have browser Chromium. And whenever something happens in the browser, it sends a message to Playwright. So Playwright connects to the browser the same way as DevTools do, using Chrome DevTools protocol. So let's say in your code you have a line which is, let's say page go to, or page navigate to ilarion-halushka.github.io. You have such page, such line in your code, then it's transpiled into JavaScript, and then Playwright Node.js converts it into a message. So it takes your code and converts it into a message and sends a message to the browser, like, browser, please open this URL. And actually we can see an example of such message here. So message would look like method page navigate. Page navigate meaning open new page, and URL http playwright.dev. So this is a message from Playwright server to the browser. And then when browser, let's say, loads this page, then browser sends actually message. This is a message. Message method page lifecycle event and DOM content loaded. So lifecycle event meaning something happened on the page, and the type of this event is DOM content loaded, meaning like the page loaded, you can continue interacting with the page, and then then Playwright reads another line in your code, etc. Okay, then Playwright sends messages, browser responds with the messages. And I forgot to mention that the communication happens via WebSockets. If you're not familiar with WebSockets, let me quickly explain. So how works HTTP? HTTP works this way currently. You send request to the server, like post create order, post order to create an order. Then server replies like 201 created, right? So it's always request, response, request, response, request, response. What is WebSockets? WebSockets are built on top of the HTTP, and WebSockets allow client and server, or two servers, communicate bidirectionally, meaning that they can send messages to each other whenever they want to. So it's not always one server or client sending request to the server and server replies. It can be other way. So we just send message from here to here whenever we want, and we don't expect any reply right away. And then when browser is ready to reply, browser sends a message. So this is what happens. Navigate here, and that's it. We forget. You see? That's it. Playwright forgets about this call. So navigate here, boom, message sent. Then browser says that content loaded, browser sends this message. So they can send messages bidirectionally, this way and that way. It's not like request response. Okay. Woof, I think that was a lot. So yeah, quick meme. QA watching devs work on weekends after assigning critical bugs on Friday evening. Oh, I hate such QAs, honestly. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and I sometimes feel that these QAs like wait till the last minute. So they keep this bug. They found it a couple of hours ago on Friday, like at 2 p.m. and they are just sitting and waiting when it will be 5-6 p.m. so that they will send it to the chat and sign off. Yeah, don't be such a guy, please. Don't. All right, tip of the day. Tip of the day. Let's see what we just discussed here, the messages. Remember, like browser, Playwright, messages in between, navigate to page, content loaded, and same here. DevTools communicates with this page, with the browser, like this, using Chrome DevTools protocol, WebSockets in between. All right, and let's see this in action. This is gonna be interesting. All right, remember we have some tests here, right? Last tests. Okay, we have 3 tests. Let's do the following. Yeah, I actually prefer the terminal. Again, the matrix. Let's go to the folder with the tests. CD users Hilarion, and what was the name of the Playwright demo? Okay, we are inside of this folder. Let's check. Yep. And let's run the test. Test number, what do we have? Blog. Let's run this simple test. Blog navigation TS. All right, we just ran the test, and actually we don't need the UI mode. Come on. Okay, let's just run the test. No tests found. Beautiful. What's going on? Cat test. I'm getting nervous when something that doesn't work. Cat test. Yeah, this should work. Maybe it doesn't like the name of the test. What do you think? Let's do the following. Move this one. Oh, matrix tests blog spec. Okay, let's try this. Navigation. And now let's try to run this. Pix blog spec TS. Okay, it found it. Yeah, so that you know for the future that without this spec it won't run. Actually, there should be some configuration for that, for this spec. Okay, so what we just did, we ran one test and it's passed. Okay, and where were we? We want to see the logs for this test. Running one test using worker. Yeah, not the best experience. Like, we want to see more logs. And for this, we have to do the following. Debug equals asterisk. Okay, and now running the tests. Wow, this was a lot. Yeah, I know you hate navigating through the logs. Everybody does until they learn a few things, which I'm gonna show now. Okay, so what do we have here? What we can check here is the following. We can check each action what Playwright does on the background, and we can actually check which messages like this one method page navigate to which URL. We can see which messages Playwright sends to the browser using Chrome DevTools protocol. So we can see the exact messages which go through this flow. Okay, let's try to find here something. I don't know. Control find page navigate, or what do we have here? Page navigate, page enable, blah blah blah, page lifecycle event, some lifecycle event. What is the event name? First mean paintful candidate. Okay, first image paint, first contentful paint. Yeah, great. First image paint, first, blah blah blah, lifecycle event, DOM content loaded. That's what I showed you. So this is the message that was sent from the browser. Message that was sent from the browser here when the page loaded, DOM content loaded. Okay. We received this message, page playwright.dev. Will we see this? No, I think it truncates the logs. Yeah, there are too many logs here. So this is fine. Now what do we do? There are too many logs. How do we filter them out? We can do the following. Yeah, let me first show you that there are some prefixes. Okay, this is enough. There are some prefixes to the logs. This is great. Playwright team, kudos to Playwright team. They added some prefixes to the logger. And we can do the following. Playwright. So we are filtering out only the logs for Playwright protocol. So what goes through here? Which messages go through? Okay, let's check this. There are still a lot of logs, but it's way less than before. Yeah, great. There are some huge logs like this one. Okay, send, blah, 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 input, insert. Look, this is what I wanted to show you again. So send means Playwright sends a message, which is this JSON, sends a message with method input insert text and params text, some text here. let me remind you the test. Some text here. You remember this one? Fill some text here. This is my code. And this is how Playwright translates this into Chrome DevTools protocol. So it sends this event. And then after some time, like browser responds like, okay, like I handle your event. You see this ID 227, 227. It sends a message, browser sends a message like, okay, result, all is good, all is fine. Then what else do we have here? Method, runtime call function, insert text. Okay, let's see something. Runtime call function, this is like some Playwright does some injections of JavaScript. Call function, page enable, conf function. Now this is what I wanted to show you also. Okay, let me copy these three. Let's do something like touch log file JSON. Okay, and then let's see what we have in this log file. Let's insert what we have. Okay, so we see three events that Playwright sent to the browser here on this diagram. Remember these events from Playwright to the browser. Why am I saying events? Yeah, because these are events. Like these are messages, WebSocket messages in Chrome DevTools protocol. All right. So what these two events do? These three are basically mouse events. Mouse events, input, dispatch, mouse event. Mouse moved, mouse pressed, mouse released. What this reminds you of? 1, 2, 3. Mouse moved, mouse pressed, mouse released. Released meaning like mouse moved, mouse pressed, mouse released. This is a click. This is a simulation of a click. Simple click on some element. And what are these? X, Y. X, Y are the coordinates, the location of this element on the web page. Here is your web page. You have X, you have Y. X, Y. And these are the coordinates on your page. Like Playwright sends message mouse moved. So Playwright says that kind of mouse moved to this point. Remember, this is the page. My face is the page. Move to this point. Yeah, no. Move to this point. Then it does mouse pressed. Mouse pressed meaning do this. And then mouse released is hop, like this. So these three events do the simple click on some specific coordinate. Yeah. So I really wanted to show you how this looks in real logs. So basically, Playwright just converts your code into such messages. Yeah, like not only that, there are a lot of things going on in the background, but just high level, Playwright takes your code, translates it into Chrome DevTools protocol messages, like we see here, these messages, and sends them to the browser, and then receives the messages, handles them, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You can also kind of filter. Let me show you. Okay. the ones who stayed till this moment are lucky, because I will show you. What can I show you? Cat logs log file JSON. Okay, this is log file JSON. And what I want to do, and in this log file we have these logs. Let's clean it up. And how did we run the tests? Like this. And here we can add debug file, and we'll call it logs txt. Now let's run the test. Okay, we just ran the test. Cat logs txt. Boom, we have all the logs saved to the file. Logs.txt. Let's go to the editor. Logs.txt. Logs.txt contains all the logs, so it's much easier to play with them now. Okay, we just ran it this way, and now let's do the following. Cat logs.txt, and let's say we want to find all all input actions. Grab input. Oh, this is not enough. Let's filter it a bit more. Let's make it this way. Method, then we have to escape method equals, then escape this one. Boom, this is much better. Repeating this again. Grab, like filter. We are passing this file, like this is a pipe. We are passing this file to grab command, and then it like filters out only the lines which include this method input. Boom. Okay, we have way less logs than before, right? We can read through this. This is much easier. Now let's say we want to find only events which are mouse pressed. Then for this we can do the following. Grab mouse pressed. Boom. And now we have logs only for mouse pressed, and we see on which coordinates they actually on which coordinates Playwright told browser to click. Okay. Is there something else I can show you, like something really cool, interesting? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you want to learn something else, some features like this. Okay, debug file, we don't care about this one. PV protocol. Okay, also we can kind of group the logs here with the comma. PV test, Playwright test. Let's see what happens. Yeah, now it like returns us the logs for Playwright test and also for Playwright protocol. Yeah, most of the time, like I have fun with like just reading through these Playwright protocol messages, like the ones that we just checked here. Come on. Cat logs. Yeah, this here. So this is really interesting for me. So the messages that Playwright sends to the browser. Okay, and if you don't understand some of these, by the way, you can go to, let's close this one. Boom, go to Google, and guess what? Chrome DevTools protocol. And here you can read about these events. Mouse dispatch event. This is API for this Chrome DevTools protocol. All right, let's move on. Where were we? Okay, tip of the day. Great. I hope you loved this one. So I'm showing you like the internals, something that real users don't see and something that many engineers who work with Playwright like don't even know how to check. Or yeah, again, I'm telling you, like it's fun for me to like dig into how things work and understand what's going on under the hood. This helps a lot when you code something. Okay, gitignore. What is gitignore? So this is bonus slide for today. Let's say we have our logs files here. Let's close them. Let's open Explorer. Let's open the terminal. And let's type here git status. And here we have, okay, we renamed the file, so it marked it as deleted. And we have two files, log file JSON and logs.txt. And we probably don't want to commit these files. We don't want to see these files on GitHub in our repository. So in order to kind of tell Git, ignore these files, please ignore these files, we have to go to gitignore and just here type logs.txt and log file JSON. Okay, now let's try again git status, and you see Git just ignores these files, so these files won't be committed. They won't be staged, won't be committed, won't be pushed to your Git repository. So Git just ignores them, even though they are here. And you see they are marked like in gray. We already have some folders which Playwright thinks we shouldn't push to our repository. So thanks for that. Also, I think we can do it this way. Log. Let's try. Not sure if that will work. Git status. Yeah, this also works. So any log file in the root of this project would also work. Okay, great. Again, reminding you that we should always commit. Git status, checking the files 1 to 3. Git add tests. Git status, okay, renamed, cool. Git commit m. How do we call this one? Refactor. Rename blog navigation spec TS. Rename blog navigation TS. I usually do it this way. Yep. So renaming the file, committing, git push, boom. Git status, okay, we haven't committed the git ignore. So yeah, let's do it this way. Git add, git ignore. Now what? Git commit message. Chore meaning something which is not related to the file. It's kind of some working with the documentation, maybe some infrastructural fix, something like that. So add log to git ignore. Boom. Git push. Now let's go to the repository. Playwright. Okay, this is Playwright repository. Yeah, I was actually checking like how Playwright works. Like I found this code, like it establishes connection, some WebSocket connect, blah blah blah, connect over CDP, which CDP is Chrome DevTools protocol, So it's all there. All, yeah, it's Chromium, it says Chromium. Yeah, by the way, I forgot to tell you that that yeah, let's first check here the GitHub. Yeah, you see, commit messages. Beautiful, small, meaningful commit messages. Add log to the gitignore. It takes 5 seconds to write a meaningful commit message and saves a lot of time later on. Okay, let's check all my commits. You see, these are beautifully named. This one, refactor, rename this file, test, add test, refactor, initial commit. And you can understand what we did by just looking at these messages. And you see, I already recorded third video today, 2 hours ago, 48 minutes. So hit like, subscribe, wherever, leave comments, just support my initiative. All right, hit the star, hit the star. Okay, one last thing I forgot to tell you is that Firefox and Safari. This is like Chrome DevTools, CDP. Here we have Chrome DevTools protocol. And here we have also kind of Chrome DevTools protocol, because these browsers are basically not Chrome, right? So Chrome DevTools protocol was developed by developers at Google, I don't know, developers who work with Chromium. But these browsers, they don't have support for Chrome DevTools protocol. So what Playwright did, let me make it like this, Playwright. So Playwright is also somewhere here. So the developers of Playwright, they implemented kind of Chrome DevTools protocol for Firefox and for WebKit, and they implemented some wrapper around these browsers which allows the communication via Chrome DevTools protocol. Yeah. For you as the end user of this framework, it might be not, I don't know, not interesting or not relevant, but still, just know that Chrome DevTools protocol is for Chromium, and here Playwright team, they did a great job implementing kind of Chrome DevTools protocol for this browser. Yeah. All right, gitignore. We reviewed gitignore, and also I wanted to review playwright.config.ts. I know we are kind of jumping from topic to topic, but yeah, these are things we have to cover today. Make a pause, go drink some tea, and let's open this playwright.config.ts. So if you remember, on one of the first videos, or actually on third or fourth video, the one before this, we turned off the Firefox and WebKit kind of Safari browsers. So our tests run only on Chromium right now. And we did this in playwright.config.ts file. So let's check what else do we have here. First, we have tests directory. So our tests are all located in this directory. So Playwright knows where to search for the tests. Then fully parallel. Yeah, it has the comments, so I'm not sure if it's worth explaining what these mean, but yeah, okay. Let me quickly go through these. Run tests in files in parallel. So this means that if we turn this off, let's check some test block. Let's say we have 2 tests. two tests in one test file. Two tests in one test file. And these two will execute in parallel. In parallel meaning Playwright will kind of run two browsers and execute these tests in parallel if they are within one file. And if we set this one to false, then they will execute like one by one. First it will execute this file, and then it will execute this test, and then it will execute this test within one file. So one by one or in parallel. Forbid only. Fail the build on CI if you accidentally left test only in the source code. Okay, we'll get to test only a bit later. So not concentrating on this one. Retry on CI with CI will work later. Opt out of parallel tests on CI. So this is again about CI, running tests on CI, not on your local machine. Opt out parallel tests if on CI. Workers undefined. Yeah, this means workers is like running tests in parallel. Running tests in parallel, so these three would run in parallel if we set this value to true. If we set this value to true, it will run a few workers, and yeah, they will execute in parallel. No overload matches this. Oh, actually, yeah, right. Workers, you have to set the number of workers or undefined, and Playwright will calculate like the optimal amount of workers. Okay, reporter to use. So Playwright has a few different reporters. If you remember, we can open terminal npx playwright show report. Yeah, remember this page with reports about tests? Yeah, okay, so everything passed, great. So Playwright has a few different reporters, so you can go check them out on this web page. Use base URL. Okay, base URL, yeah, maybe we'll get to that later, because right now it's not relevant. Base URL is basically URL to your website. If you have one website which you always navigate to, then you can set your website here. Just uncomment this line and say like some github.com, and then in your tests you would have to run just page go to slash, and that's it. So you wouldn't have to mention here github.com like we do now. Yeah, but now we are leaving this as is. Okay, collect on first retry, collect trace, blah blah blah. Okay, this is for trace viewer. It takes some time and memory to collect the traces. So yeah, on first retry, meaning when test failed and we are retrying it, then like we'll collect the traces on the first retry. Then projects. This is about the browsers in which we want to run our tests in. These are for mobile apps, so we can also, like, not mobile apps, but mobile browsers, small windows. So yeah, that's it. That's all we have default set by default here, but we can also go to the documentation and check all the possible properties configuration that Playwright gives us. Okay, actually let's add it. Oh, okay, I already have it. Go and read it. Okay, that was it for today's video. I hope it wasn't too complicated, like especially this part, and then viewing the logs and those messages which are sent from Playwright to the browser. Yeah, I hope I made it clear for you. Like, if you still didn't get something, just go ahead, rewatch. Go ahead, rewatch slowly, step by step, from slide to slide, try to understand this, how this works. Playwright browser, Chrome DevTools protocol. All right, homework. Read about Playwright architecture. So it's not me who wrote Playwright. I'm just a user of Playwright, so go ahead, find some interesting articles about Playwright architecture, how it works. Maybe you'll find out something else which I haven't mentioned today, or maybe I'm wrong in something what I told you today, I don't know. Yeah, so go ahead, read something about Playwright architecture, go read something about Node.js, how it executes JavaScript, go read something about TypeScript, transpilation to JavaScript, review gitignore, like repeat after me, just add something to gitignore, play with it, then git status, etc. Review playwright.config.ts and go to the official documentation and see what you have there. Run tests with debug. Yeah, and don't forget to run tests. Debug, then set which logs you want to test, you want to see, I mean, and then run your test and see like which messages are sent. If you don't understand anything, then just search for this input dispatch mouse event. This is for mouse event, and we reviewed other ones also. Yeah, just play with it. Play, review. It will give you some basic understanding of what's going on. All right. This is the third video that I recorded today, so hit like, subscribe. I don't have much energy for today. I'm basically done. So yeah, just giving you the heads up what we're gonna talk about in the next video. We're gonna talk about project structure. Project structure meaning what do we already have inside of our project. We have some folder node modules, some black magic for you. We have some package JSON. We haven't opened it yet. Package log. We already ran some npm npx commands, but we'll I'll explain what these are used for. Then we'll get to know what is Semver, and also we'll talk about dependencies, dev dependencies, etc. Yeah, so stay tuned, subscribe. Yeah, just showing you, like we have this node modules here, then package log, package JSON that we have to talk about, then npm, npx. Oof. Yeah, but we'll understand the tools we are using, and then it will be way much easier to write the tests. Honestly, when I was starting QA automation, I was coding blindly. So I was just writing some comments, typing some comments from documentation, and I was just hoping they would work. But I really regret that nobody explained me like such basic things like this. So it was all this was black magic for me. So I was just copy pasting something from the internet, like trying to make it work, trying to run different projects, then reinstall the project, delete everything and do something from scratch. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, so this course is not only about Playwright, it's just about all automation and all JavaScript related things. All right, again, reminding you that better earlier than never. So go ahead, learn some JavaScript. This is the link. These are the topics. All right, it was nice to see you, and see you in the next one. Bye.